Hello, beautiful tea minds, and welcome to the Tea Crane. New developments have been made in Japanese contemporary culture, and it has been revealed that tea masters who do not care well for their teaware are apparently haunted by Pokémon. The Japanese tea ceremony has made its way into Pokémon with a new Pokémon creature that is based on a certain piece of equipment that is used in the tea ceremony. Whether this new development is going to bring kids closer to the Japanese traditions and culture, or is it only going to enrage old tea masters who see this again as a misrepresentation of the cultural values that tea ceremony stands for? Or who knows, as a third option, is it going to pull traditionalist tea practitioners closer to contemporary Japanese culture? Whichever way this migration, this collaboration between cultural aspects turns out, I think it is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about what this new creature is like, what this new Pokemon is like, and what it is based on in Japanese culture and the tea ceremony. In fact, it is not one Pokemon creature, but two. Actually, they are the same, because in Pokemon, these Pokemon creatures evolve and they have one form and then a successive form. And the tea Pokemon that we're seeing here also has two forms. Poltergeist, the first form, which is based off a Japanese tea flask, a pottery tea flask used in tea ceremony for the higher end service of koicha. And there is Sinischa, which is a tea bowl with a tea whisk. These two Pokemon represent several vital utensils that are used in the tea ceremony, and they are based off a specific motif that is very widely known throughout the tea ceremony. They are both based on the black Oribe style. The black Oribe style is very widely known and was invented by the famous tea master Furuta Oribe. Furuta Oribe devised this style where he has a black glaze running over the sides, leaving the front and the back untouched. So it creates a balance between a white surface and a black surface on the sides. And on this white surface, he had paintings made in that same glaze or a similar coloring. Now, Oribe is usually known for its green glaze, white back, and brownish paintings on the white side of the bowl or flask. Now, these two Pokemon have been based on the black Oribe style, and you can see that the face on the bowl is used in similarity to a motif that we can see on a traditional Oribe tea bowl. The traditional Oribe tea bowl is decorated with a black ink on the white face. And this tea bowl of the Sinischa Pokemon has the face as the motif on the white side of the bowl. Now, what is interesting to notice is that Poltergeist, the tea flask Pokemon, is based off a traditional pottery tea flask, which is used for a higher rank of tea preparation. Usually, what people would know for tea containers are the lacquered tea caddy. This Pokemon is not based on a lacquered tea caddy, but on the pottery tea flask, which most of the non-practitioners of tea ceremony have rarely encountered or might not even know of. So this raises to me a bit of the question, where is for someone who is not acquainted with tea ceremony, the recognizability of this Pokemon being related to Japanese tea ceremony. It has both sides, because the lacquer tea caddy could show someone, oh, this is for tea ceremony. But the tea flask shows to someone who is not acquainted with tea ceremony that there is more to discover, that there are other types of tea containers as well, and it could create a question in that person's mind that could lead to further inquiry and finding out more about tea ceremony, and perhaps create a segue into discovering more about Japanese traditions and culture. So these two Pokemon, they're very interesting. They're, I think, very funnily designed, and they're very well modeled after a certain specific traditional motif in teaware. And I think they provide a great segue into the tea ceremony for someone who is enjoying the Pokemon games, who enjoys these creatures for what they look like. It has an interesting story, and I feel that they welcome someone who is not yet acquainted with tea ceremony very well into discovering this beautiful art. Now, this tea ball Pokemon with the whisk in it, the Sinistcha tea Pokemon, this one apparently also has a matcha attack. And it stirs around in the tea bowl very vigorously and then splashes some hot matcha over its opponent, burning it and doing a lot of damage. Well, of course, I see that in the combination of cultures and in the context of this game, this Pokemon, of course, needs to have some attack power. And, well, what can you do with matcha other than to spill it over someone if you want to do some damage? So, yes, it is, I think, a funny attack, and it's lucrative and enjoyable, and I think kids will love it. And if it brings kids closer to the tea ceremony, I'm all for it. So I honestly enjoyed talking about these two Pokemon. I enjoyed looking at how similar they are to some of the tea wares that I use during the tea ceremony or that I've encountered. It is nice for me to see that culture is used in these contemporary contexts as well. And perhaps having looked into Pokemon in this way, I might have gotten a little bit closer and a little bit more attracted to discovering more about this, not to say so very small, I think is very, very large cultural phenomenon. And there must be a reason behind it. So maybe it brings kids closer to tea ceremony, or maybe it brings a tea master closer to the Pokemon phenomenon. Who knows? The weeks to come will point out. For the time being, I've been happy to have shared this with you. I'm happy to have looked at these interesting Pokemon together. And let me know in the comments if you've encountered these Pokemon, what you thought about them. Has it sparked your interest in tea ceremony? Or from a tea ceremony perspective, have you had some thoughts about how these Pokemon represent the tea ceremony in a completely different cultural context? I'm very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts about this and to continue the discussion in the comment section below. Click the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Create your silence.